Good evening, I'm Killian.
And I'm ZeroFoxGiven.
And you're listening to Dormal Talk.
Today's episode, 5 Strange Conspiracy Theories. JFK. On November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas, when he was struck by 2 bullets. He died at 46 years old. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for the assassination of the president, and 2 days later, Oswald was killed live on television by Jack Ruby. The Warren Commission was then created to investigate the incident and conclude that Oswald acted alone. However, some believe there is more to the story. There are theories that the CIA hired Oswald because of the president's reactions to the communism and the Bay of Pigs invasion. Others believe the Mafia, Cuba, or the Soviet Union were involved in the assassination. When videos of the incident were released, people claimed Oswald's location made it impossible for him to have killed the president. However, what truly happened has been heavily speculated upon.
Have you ever been out to Texas at any point?
Yes, multiple times. Love Texas.
Which
Beautiful
part?
state. Been to Dallas. I've been to the
Dealey Plaza?
Yeah, what do they call it? Library area? Public library building? It's not a library,
sure.
but I think it's a public library office in Dallas. Maybe not.
I don't know. I just know it's called Dealey Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
I know that for a fact, and I've been there myself as well. I don't know. It felt weird, man. I sat down like on the grassy knoll, walked around. Even though it happened so long ago, it was so like surreal. It feels weird knowing the history. Like, I know people walk there all the time and probably don't feel or see anything. I don't know how I feel about this one, honestly, because it's always been talked about, it's always speculated, cartoons make jokes about it. You know, King of the Hill has tons of episodes on it. Now, they don't focus on it for all the episodes except for one where Dale becomes patriotic because he says the Warren Commission makes sense to him. But they constantly make references like that. there was one where they had a picture of Kennedy with some aliens, which is funny because it kind of goes with the whole Area 51 thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that the Mafia, that, you know, some like behind the scenes characters wanted him out of the business, not just the Mafia, but in government and other stuff. Because he was like probably about the most open-minded president, both physically and literally, and mentally.
Yeah, that's why I think Jackie had a hand in it. I think she was sick of his cheating ways.
Yeah, that's true.
Set it up.
I'm surprised they didn't mention anything about Marilyn Monroe in this, because that's a whole nother story right there.
Well, I don't know if she'd be involved in killing him.
No, I don't mean that. I'm saying his affair and things with her. I'm saying that couldn't lead to speculation, like you just said, with Jackie or the CIA saying we can't have a president that's doing this out in the open.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned, because that's true. It's believed on that. And then of course, man, there's so many different weird things and instances in this particular one. It's kind of like almost one of those you don't want to touch it, but also you can't help but touch it kind of cases.
Sure.
But yeah.
The interesting thing you got to remember about this is that the assassination actually happened on a live broadcast.
In broad daylight.
So John F. Kennedy was actually your first televised president. A lot of people think he won the election he did because it was the first televised election where most Americans had TVs in their home, and he was much more handsome. So, that being said, if someone wanted to send a message, they could have been waiting for years to do this, and now, with a television in most Americans' households, this could be the time. So I think that it would be wrong not to consider the fact that this could have been purposely set up to deliver right into every American's living room.
Possible. And also on that note, I think the reason why he won was not because he was more handsome, it's because he was more composed. Like, I guess Nixon had like this sweat problem, and he was kind of a
Looks bad on TV.
Yeah, so it looked like he was not sure, while Kennedy like maintained his composure and was like, hey, I'm the guy, I'm straightforward,
Sure.
you can see it on my face.
All I'm saying is the TV helped him win the election.
Oh no, that's undoubtedly true, like undoubtedly, because Nixon was a favorite up until the televised event. The other thing on that is, like, even Jack Ruby, like, he got in on Oswald on TV, both of them. And I'm just trying to think, it's just weird all around, like how quickly everything happened. And I get that things weren't as secure back then as they are now, but it's just like you don't see really that kind of thing happening around these days. And we have like all these crazy weapons and like all these good shots and everything, and yet we're somewhat more secure than.
Yeah, well, because the technology for personal defense and security has also advanced at the same time. I mean, we see it every day, multiple times, but we don't necessarily see it happening to our presidents anymore.
Very true. Either way, this has always been one of those very nuanced cases that it piques the interest of you, even if you fully believe in one. Even if you fully believe in one theory, for some reason the other theories just tantalize you because it's just such a weird occurrence and such a weird thing.
They tantalize you hard. They get right up in you and they just tantalize from the inside.
And I believe that's what she said.
Bigfoot. Although there are Bigfoot sightings all over the U.S., Washington state has the highest number. There have been 2,032 sightings in the entire state, according to Newsweek. There are a number of theories around the mythical creature. Some believe it's a ferocious beast meant to be feared, and others think it's a harmless creature that wants to be left alone. There are other theories that Bigfoot is related to humans since it walks on two legs, while others think it's an extraterrestrial being. The original 1958 footprints were a prank by a man named Ray Wallace near Bluff Creek in Northern California. According to the Smithsonian, his children revealed it was all a joke after his death in 2002. However, the physical sightings have never been corroborated or accounted for.
So, Killian, what are your thoughts on Bigfoot?
Oh, I know he's real. I see him. He comes by the house on Sundays. We have brunch together and everything.
Isn't that the guy that plays drums for Tenacious D? So yeah, this myth has been debunked. It is actual fact.
No, not true. The drummer from Tenacious D is the drummer from Bad Religion, who is not Bigfoot.
You have not seen Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny or seen their video for...
I have seen it, and if you have seen it as well, you would also know that we're both wrong, and Dave Grohl actually does the drums on all those records. But
he's also the devil.
The devil's a nasty drummer. Bigfoot, on the other hand, he's just a guy. Hangs out. Hairy.
All jokes aside, you know what I'm talking about? In Search of Sasquatch?
In Search of Sasquatch.
In Search of Sasquatch is a song they did, and...
Oh, for their HBO series early
yeah, a long time ago, yeah, and then, like...
1999, actually.
It has Sasquatch, listen to them singing about him, and apparently he was, like, playing the drums, and they're like, you know, they love it, but, you know, the D's always just been me and KG.
Classic.
It's so funny. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one. I hear all these stories about Sasquatch all the time, but I've never seen anything, and the first one was meant to be a...
Now, don't forget, we do live in one of the squatchiest areas in this country, on the West Coast.
According to this, though, Washington has the bigger number, and that's actually kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, apparently the first one in 1958 were a prank, according to this, and apparently it's been proven, and his kids, you know, revealed it was a joke in 2002.
My question is, was the whole concept a prank or just the footprints? I think the concept was around much longer before that.
Not to mention the fact that 2,032 sightings. I mean, you can argue that it was probably because everybody was talking about it that people thought they saw it, but at the same time, 2,032 is a lot, especially in Washington.
The Lavender Town Syndrome. The Lavender Town Syndrome was a peak in suicides and illnesses of children between the ages of 7 and 12 shortly after the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan back in February 27, 1996. Rumors say that these suicides and illnesses only occurred after the children playing the game reached Lavender Town, whose theme music had extremely high frequencies that studies showed that only children and young teens could hear, since their ears are more sensitive. Due to the lavender tone, at least 200 children supposedly committed suicide, and many more developed illnesses and afflictions. The children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights. Those who did not acted irrationally and complained of severe headaches after listening to Lavender Town's theme. Although Lavender Town now sounds differently depending on the game, this mass hysteria was caused by the first Pokemon game released. After the Lavender Tone incident, the programmers had fixed Lavender Town's theme music to be at a lower frequency. and since children were no longer affected by it. One video appeared in 2010 using special software to analyze the audio of Lavender Town's music. When played, the software created images of the unknown at the end of the audio. This raises controversy, since the unknown didn't appear until the Generation 2 games Silver, Gold, and Crystal. The unknown translated to leave now. There is also the said beta version of Lavender Town. It is said that the beta version of Pocket Monsters was released to some kids to test the games. Do I think it's possible for a song without lyrics nonetheless to drive someone to suicide? No, I don't think so.
You know, it's funny because in a lot of religious contexts, they actually disagree with you. They say that music is kind of like a gateway to the brain that unlocks certain waves and like things in your mind that causes you to do stuff. I'm not saying that's fully true. I'm saying that there's actually times where that's been debated on in like religious sections, and that's why certain music they quote unquote label as demonic or satanic.
Well, that would make sense on account of I'm not very religious, so it would make sense on why I don't believe that. I also think that with the current state of music, there's many of combinations of tones and rhythms that we've heard that are far more likely to drive someone to suicide, such as bands
like anything by Justin Bieber.
Like anything by Justin Bieber, anything by Slipknot. These kind of two different extremes would definitely do it if it was possible.
True that. On a side note, have you actually ever heard the beta on this?
Not the original from the first game, no.
I'll play it for you and for these guys right here shortly after this.
Area 51. The famous Area 51 in the Nevada desert is a military installation at the Nihilist Military Operations Area. The base quickly became known as the most secretive military site in the world because it does not exist on any map or government website, leading many to craft conspiracy theories of their own. Some people believe Area 51 is researching and experimenting on aliens and their spacecrafts. More specifically, people think they are studying a crash that happened near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Others theorize that the moon landing was staged at Area 51. The government has since said the facility is used to test experimental aircrafts for the military. However, the true nature of the facility remains unknown. You know, actually, this isn't a conspiracy theorist, because in Futurama, this is where they found Zoidberg and the crew after they crash landed into Roswell. All jokes aside, like, what do you think? You know, do you think that they got aliens there?
Almost without a doubt, and if not there, somewhere else. I'm not above the idea that Area 51 can actually be like possibly a decoy for the public, for the culture, and what we believe is happening there is actually happening somewhere else by a different name. And
Ooh,
a different
maybe wide in the open.
Yeah, maybe right there underneath our noses.
Yeah, that's insane. It's funny because, you know, on that note, people always talk about UFOs and think that UFOs don't exist. I hate that notion so much. I'm not saying I necessarily believe in aliens or anything. I mean, though I find it very unlikely we're the only life in the universe. However, UFO literally means unidentified flying object. It means it can fly and you don't know what it is. That's a UFO. So when people say UFOs aren't real, it's like, so you know everything that can fly? I think not.
I mean, if anything can be a UFO if it's far enough away.
Exactly, because you can't identify it. I just don't understand why people get so like, UFOs aren't real. It's like, unidentified flying object. It does not mean flying saucer. It does not mean alien spacecraft. It's unidentified flying object. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. In the mountains of Alaska, you can find the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. This program helps scientists study the furthest distance of the atmosphere. The facility sits on 33 acres of land and has over 180 antennas. The antennas have collected data about the aurora borealis, radio waves, and other atmospheric occurrences, but some think the antennas are an experimental weapon that can control people's minds, according to the Smithsonian. Others believe it caused the Columbia Space Shuttle to destruct in 2003. In 2016, however, the facility held an open house to the public so that they could see they were not up to anything dangerous.
Why did it take so long to open up if they believed this was happening as early as 2003? If they truly had nothing to hide, what would take 13 years for them to open up?
Well, I think it depends on how much the speculation really grew. If speculation first started in 2003, that could be one person, and what would be the point of opening up your whole facilities at that point? At the same time, I feel like some really dank pot can be at the center of all this, on account of, you get some great weed up in Alaska, and those Alaskans, they probably definitely thought all those antennas were for mind control. And it also explains why the facility itself was slow on opening up to the public.
Possibly, because it is like a Schedule C, I think, narcotics, so that would make sense. But I don't know, 13 years though to cover up pot, that seems a little rough to me. Now, I'm not fully saying that they were doing mind control, because that's kind of like a stretch, like the conspiracy theory states. But the thing that does kind of strike me is with like 180 antennas and radio waves, there's got to be something they were doing. It could even be like private aircrafts or stuff.
Yeah, or some satellite data going back and forth. I'm sure it's something pretty regular though.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of sketchy, and if it's the case, why not just say that? And notice how it didn't say that they weren't technically doing anything mind control or any of this stuff. They just said that they were not up to anything dangerous.
Well, I'll take it then. As long as it's not dangerous, it's good for me. Killian approved.
Thank you for joining us on Dormal Talk. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be at you with another episode soon. And as always, have a wonderful day.